Hi, this is Stephanie Gilbert, and I'll be your instructor for Psychology 150 this semester. I'm really excited to start another semester with you and wanted to give you a little bit of an overview about the course itself, just so you know a little bit about what to expect. Once again, my name is Stephanie Gilbert, and I have been here at SPC teaching both online and seated courses, strictly psychology, so this is my passion. I have my master's in industrial and organizational psychology from UNCC, and I worked quite a few years in the banking industry before starting here. So what I'd like to do is walk through the actual Moodle site and your expectations throughout that Moodle site, just so you're aware of it. On the very top of your Moodle site, you will see the syllabus. Please take notice of that. And in particular, the last two pages of the syllabus are your schedule. Please print off those 2 pages. Post one copy on your refrigerator, one copy on your desk, wherever you need to, or on your desktop, so that you can always be keeping an eye on that. There's also a calendar within Moodle, but I would recommend a hard copy. The next thing I would like you to pay attention to is the startup activity. Now what this does is it checks from our sake whether or not you read through and understand the syllabus. And actually this is a very informal thing for you to do. It takes 2 minutes to fill up the startup activity, and yet I need you to do it as soon as possible. What happens is the system will actually kick you out if it says that you have not participated in this activity within the first X amount of days. So go ahead right after you watch this video, or if you have done it already, great, complete that. The other thing you'll have an opportunity to do is to go into the student coffee house, and that's where, just as I shared a little bit about myself, you'll be able to share a little bit about yourself. The reason this is such a great opportunity for you to share about yourself is that on these online classes, we have this great opportunity to get to know other people that you may not see if you were simply in a seated course. And what I mean by that is we have perhaps a stay-at-home mom who is going back to work after years of being out of the workforce, or someone who has retired and they're deciding that they want to change careers now. But we also have your traditional students. We have early college students that are still in high school. Everyone lends a very, very valuable piece to this class, and particularly what I believe with the subject of psychology, it's just crucial to have you guys share a little bit about yourself. So take some time on that. I will point out, and it says it on the website, a few things. Number one, that all work in this class has to be specifically made and designed for this class. In other words, you can't use a paper or response, obviously from another student, but even that you've used for another class, and that will become more relevant. For example, when we do our term papers, it has to be a paper you wrote for this class. The other thing that you have to be really aware of is that you must use your Gmail account. We are required by SPCC to communicate with you through your Gmail account, not through Hotmail or Yahoo. So please make sure that you have access to that. All of the email that I send out will be in a section on your Moodle site called Class Announcements. But also, just so you can get those email real time, please make sure you have that Gmail account set up. Okay, so that's kind of the basic overview of the first part of your Moodle site. You will also see numerous resources throughout the first, I think there's probably 20 lines of resources, anywhere from study guides, and I really, really need you to get that study guide. This is a crucial tool in this class, as well as your textbook. There's also a link for how to actually study, and please read through those. There's a link also for APA-style formatting whenever you have to cite a source, which you will have to in this course. Some of you are more familiar with MLA. This has to be APA-style. So please make sure that you're familiar with that. We put together, I believe it's like a 2-page document that gives you an overview of the most basic part of APA-style formatting citations. Okay, so the other thing you're going to see as you scroll down is that the courses are organized by chapter. It's called topic, but it's basically by chapter. So each chapter will have a lot of different resources, whether it be a Word document or something called an active psych, which is like an interactive PowerPoint presentation. There's always an outline, PowerPoint outline that goes over the entire chapter. By the way, that PowerPoint is not enough. You still need to read the chapter. The PowerPoint will not do in substitution for that, but that is offered for every single chapter. There's also a lot of, I like to add cartoons you'll see and videos, really just to help you understand the concepts. The other part that you'll see under each chapter is your homework assignment. Now, Here's, I want you to really pay attention to this because this is crucial to your success in this class. There are different types of homework assignments. There are activities, which are usually like a questionnaire, and then there are written responses, which are, go ahead and read the textbook. Here's a question about it, and I need you to apply what you've learned. So let me address the activity part of it first. The activity is to go ahead and fill out a questionnaire, usually. I would like you to submit that questionnaire to me. The other part of the activity typically is, now that you've done the questionnaire, please process the thoughts. How does it apply to your life? Do you agree with the results? What do you think about it? This is an opinion piece of it, but in order to get an A, I need you to actually put some thought and insight into how this questionnaire may be relevant or not relevant. You're welcome to disagree with the questionnaires, but I do need you to talk about that in each activity. The other part is the written response. Now, this is the part that's going to take a lot more of your time, to be quite honest. Now, here's some things to think about. Every single written response, please take note. If you want to get a C on that written response, all you have to do is go ahead and answer the question. You can take it out of the textbook, obviously not word for word, but you'll find your answers in the textbook. That will get you a C because that's average. I'm assuming most of you would like a B or an A on these. In order to do that, I need two elements. Do not need these in the activities, but I do need these in the written responses. I need an outside source, and what that means is that in addition to the textbook, you actually went to an outside source to find out more about this topic and applied it. And make sure you cite that outside source at the end of your written response. If we're learning about the physiology of the brain, and the question is all about the different parts of the brain, you use what you can find in the textbook, but then you will also see that there's other websites that might help you to address that question. Now, some of you might be very familiar with how to find different websites. You will see that Grant LeFaux, our librarian, is interactive into our classes. And what that means is he will actually give you websites to say, check out these websites. He knows what our assignments are, and he is of huge help to say, check out this website. You absolutely can do other ones, but I think it's a great resource to have to use that. So you need an outside source. That will get you a B. Now, if you would actually like to get an A on that assignment, what I need you to do is use examples, analogies, comparisons to other topics we've learned. In other words, put a little bit of you into it. Show me that you have put insight and thought into your response. That's the other part that is critical. This may take a little while for some of you to catch on to, and I'll try to explain it each time we have an assignment, but I really need you to go ahead and do it. It doesn't have to be a real-life example. You can make up an example. You can use an analogy of another concept. Driving down the road is the same as the nervous system. That's all fine. I just need to know that you kind of stepped out of your box a little bit. Once again, you don't have to use an outside source and an example for your activity, just for your written response. Go over that again. Okay, I also mentioned make sure you cite your sources at the end. So including if you've used your textbook, you want to cite that, and then your one additional source that should be cited each time. One thing that I'm very specific on is I don't want you to take an entire paragraph, it's plagiarizing, out of your textbook or out of any of these sources. So you need to read it, think about it, digest it, and then put it in your own words, and then cite the source. The other thing I think I'm not really big on is taking an entire paragraph, and it's legal for you to put it in quotations and then cite it, but that does not tell me that you learned anything there, that you understand it. It just means that that person who you quoted understands the concept. So I need you not to overdo those quotation marks. Quotation marks really, as far as using a concept, is only if that concept is very specific or uses very specific terminology, which most of our sites do not. So try to use your own words. Make this your own. This is how you're learning it. That's what these written responses are for. The other thing, just so you know, and we'll talk about this later when we talk more about the term paper, but we do use a tool called Turnitin, and I have used it also on the written responses. If I read your written response and it looks like it's probably not your work, and by the way, I've read the textbook many times, so if you use entire paragraphs in the textbook, I also tend to send those through Turnitin, and Turnitin tells me whether or not it's taken from another source. And so that's plagiarizing. So I need you to make sure you stay away from using someone else's work, because really this is for you. some resources that I'd like to go over that I really, really would like you guys to make sure that you take advantage of. I cannot stress this enough. There are resources here at SPCC that I just think are phenomenal. The Academic Support Center. Okay, so there's one at both campuses. These folks, they have specific psychology-related tutors. They also have tutors that are great about helping you with test taking, multiple choice tests. We'll talk about our tests later on, how to not get stressed out about test taking. Please use that Academic Support Center. In my mind, smart students use the Academic Support Center. That's all there is to it. So if you tell me you used it, to me, you're a smart student. We now have a great resource called the Communication Center. I cannot tell you enough about this. You're going to use this big time with your term paper, but everyone I've talked to said, oh my gosh, I wish I knew about it for my written responses. These folks, either online or if you go in person, you can do either one, will actually review your writing, your written responses or your term papers. They'll do this for any class you have here at SPCC, by the way. But they'll review it and they'll give you feedback. You know, either you're not using your citations correctly or you may think about getting an introductory sentence or whatever it is. They help with your actually how to write and how to organize your papers. The other thing I would like you to please take note of, remember I told you about Grant and how he's going to give you different resources and websites to use. Grant's from the library. Anytime you do research, he's your guy. Go into the library, talk to all the folks there. Are super helpful. Will point you in the right direction. And remember that a library is not what it used to be. For those of you who are maybe closer to my age and realize it used to be all about books. If you've gone to our libraries, there are not nearly as many books. There's a lot more computers, and the folks at the library help you use those computers to do your research. They'll be able to help you narrow it down. So please, please use the library. Okay, 3 more components of the course, and then I'll sign off here. The one is the tests. Okay, there are 5 tests, 1 every 3 chapters. The last one is the last 3 chapters in addition to a comprehensive. The second half of it is comprehensive, so don't lose your notes. Make sure you keep studying. These questions are 100 questions in 100 minutes of multiple choice, all multiple choice. So some of you say, great, love multiple choice. Other of you, now you're panicked. Okay? You usually are panicked during your first one. Don't stress too much. Your Academic Support Center is a great key. I'll say it again, to go back and say, if I struggle with multiple choice, these folks can help you to better take a multiple choice exam. Once you start these exams, you cannot restart. So the reason I'm telling you that is please find a quiet area in which you will not be disturbed. I highly recommend going to the library. The other reason that's good is because if you start it and you're in your house and there's a computer glitch or something like that, while I'm willing to work with you, sometimes that gets a little bumpy. So what I would like you to do is find a nice quiet spot and go ahead and take your test during that time, during that 100 minutes, because you can't stop and start it up again. Now, just a little hint. One of the best ways to study for these exams is if in that study guide that I talked to you about, the application section of your study guide is extremely helpful. The people who wrote that study guide also wrote the tests, the test questions. So what I'm telling you here is that the questions are going to be directly linked, and I highly recommend spending the time. Inevitably, after the first test, people who did well come back and say, I believe I did well because I used the study guide. The people who did not do well said, I forgot to use the study guide. So please, please go through that and use that, particularly the application section. The other 2 components of this class will be the term paper and the teamwork assignment. I, at this point, do not look at that teamwork assignment at all. There's nothing you can do for it. It is a project that we will start later on, so I don't want you to stress about that at all. The term paper, I will have a whole nother video for you to take a look at, but what you can do right now, it's a 5 to 7 page research term paper. What I do want you to do is start thinking now. Page through your psychology book. Think about topics that are of interest for you. You're going to spend a lot of time on this term paper, and if you pick a topic that is not of interest for you, it's just going to make it really long. It's going to be a very tedious process. So please think of a topic when you think of them, whether it be because you're reading or because you're thumbing through the pages or because you see an article or something. Send the topic to me, and I'll give you some feedback. Maybe it's too broad, maybe it's too specific, maybe, you know, I've seen papers on it before and there's different ways that works or doesn't work. Please send your topics by me, and like I said, we'll give you more information on that later on. So that is the course. I think that you will enjoy it. Truly, the feedback has been great, that while it is a very difficult course, there are a lot of assignments here. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of work to be done. Everyone who comes out of it says, I learned so much about myself and about the people around me, not just in a warm, fuzzy way, but you'll learn how to relate better at work, with your family, with friends, and I think it's going to be an all-around benefit for you. So hopefully that's the case. I look forward to it, and I hope you guys have a great time this semester. Thank you.